This is the Blooming Psyche Podcast. Grab a seat and join us as we navigate life our own way.
Now let's begin blooming our psyche. Yeah, so we made a little workout based on my home equipment.
Yes.
I'm gonna bring this mic a little closer.
Home equipment in the space here.
Yeah, so the way that I've arranged it, how would you judge this array of equipment?
Pretty much set up for a full body workout with high reps if you want to really push yourself. There isn't too much in the way of actual super heavy weight. But like I can also appreciate anybody that's wanting to just go for high reps, and maybe, I think the heaviest thing you got is that 35-pound kettlebell, right? Give or take. Maybe the dumbbells.
I think these get up to 40.
40? Okay. Yeah, so
dumbbells.
that's sweet. That's like a perfect little home setup, right?
Yeah.
You obviously don't have the biggest space in the world. So for what you got for the space, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll
maybe
just
a couple things here and there, like like your fun little neck thing.
Iron neck. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll just list the items. So I've got a 5-pound mace, which is awesome. The 5-pound mace is phenomenal. I've got supported push-up little arcs where you put your hand on them, so you get like a little bit of a deeper stretch there. And then I have the monkey foot, which I just got recently, which is a heel kind of, looks like a snowboarder kind of boot that you kind of clip onto a shoe, and you can hold a dumbbell by your heel. So you can do knee raises and hamstring kicks and stuff. Dumbbells and a ab roller, as well as 20-pound kettlebell and a 35 kettlebell, which, I don't know, you can do most rounded exercises with that. And I've also got resistance bands that are rigged in a kind of fly setup.
Yeah, like a seated bench.
On a bench, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you can also, like, that bar that connects your two dumbbells is great.
Yes.
You have a bar that goes right between those two dumbbells, so you can turn that into you said it goes to 40, right?
Yeah.
So that's an 80 plus maybe 2 pounds for the bar, so like an 82-pound barbell for whatever, bench pressing or whatever you could imagine, just like some curls or whatever, right? There's some really awesome options.
Yeah, so
the setup plus the mat that makes it nice and easy.
Yeah, you always got to have a nice mat.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be on the hardwood. Not a good idea.
Well, yeah, it's just you'll damage your floor or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
it's a nice rounded workout. Right?
Absolutely.
Where even if you don't have all of the weight, you just focus on the squeeze.
Yep.
Right? So you can activate the muscle that you're specifically trying to target. And that'll get you more than half the battle. Even if you're doing high weight and you're just trying to squeeze everything, that's kind of forcing you into that position where you might actually be too weak to maintain that weight. Right. So when you start at a lower and work up into like proper form, and then you extend the length of hold, and then you make it a little slower, the time under tension will give you that strength and that power and that muscle tearing. But at the same time, you're not going to overload accidentally because you're carrying too much weight that you're not strong enough potentially in some areas to actually manage.
Right. Yeah. Like just like when I do the roller there, my back, if I'm not really focusing on my core and applying most of the tension to my core and chest, my back will just cave in and make my arms have to pick me up with that roller, which I've definitely put work into, and it's not as big of a deal. But as you were saying, like, something I didn't even notice was that my back muscles in a specific area are just sublime. And then the rest is just like,
Well, I mean, it was definitely there, like the rest of your back, but at the same time, there was more focus density that seemed uneven.
Yeah, and I'm wondering what that is really from.
Well, like, think about it.
Like, what would that...
If you have a lower weakness or an upper weakness, some kind of area that isn't activating as strongly, it's not going to pull that area potentially where it should be in terms of activation.
Right. Like, it would be almost...
It's compensating in other areas.
Yeah, compensating. That's right. So, likely, due to my back problems, that would be why.
Yeah.
Right.
So, like, reactivating those other areas is like your traps, like you mentioned.
Totally.
They didn't have the muscle and mind connection to physically intensify those nerves in that spot. Right? Like, you may have muscle there and because you use it in some areas just as like an auxiliary muscle. But
Right,
you're
like
not
a
focusing
cause.
on it in terms of this is my specific and direct activation.
Yeah, like so the cause of your doing bicep curls would activate your traps and your delts and all that stuff because
Exactly.
it just has to, because
has
your
to.
body won't work if it doesn't. Yeah, and that makes total sense.
Yeah. And it's just in variable percentages.
Which is hilarious because like that could be the cause of so many people's issues and pain in working out, is that they just don't activate specific muscles, or they're not feeling where that muscle is actually tensing up,
So
right?
they're
And I
almost
never
relaxed.
understood that until I really like looked into it, and until we kind of had more of a conversation about it before we worked out today. It makes a lot of sense. So definitely start when you start working out. And we should maybe jump into some stuff about people that have never worked out, and what that process might look like, going from nothing to something, right? But for people that are trying to work out, not seeing much improvement, and just feel like you're almost being lazy in the gym, even though you're doing all of the reps and sets that everybody else is doing around you, right? Just try feeling that part of your muscle that you're trying to activate and see if you're actually getting that tension there. Because most of the time it's just a slight change, like you showed me a little earlier with pulling the arm in to feel the inner chest and then pushing forward to really get that tension, right? That made 100% of a difference from just me pulling in the arm to center point.
Yeah, and to illustrate what he's pointing at with his hand right now, since this is an audio, it's the top left corner or inner corners of your pec, right? Like the part that isn't as intensely activated as is the bottom outer exterior of your pec, where you can kind of feel that whole piece activate.
Yeah.
But when you're fully open, like your arm is fully outwards, and then you pull it directly in front of you, like you're pointing forward, that pointing forward motion activates that upper inner part. Right. So when you're doing the rest of the range of motion, you want to explore whatever part you're trying to hit, move your leg, your arm, whatever is being activated, and put your hand on where you're trying to feel the activation. So when you move it through that area, you can feel at what point that part activates.
Right.
And then you can focus on squeezing that spot under time of tension during whatever exercise.
Right. Yeah. So let's maybe jump into that thing I brought up earlier. People that are looking to make change.
Yeah.
People that are looking to work out, and maybe they have a couple times, maybe they haven't at all, but maybe for those people especially that have done it a couple times and they just get flustered and they're just in pain due to lactic acid just completely kicking your ass because you have absolutely no muscle growth at all. What is something that those people can do? Do you think they should be jumping into straight up like looking at the other people and trying to emulate what they're doing and hitting 135-pound bench press right off the hop because their ego is all inflamed and they just don't want to look like a wuss in front of everybody else?
Which is very understandable.
Yeah. Or do you think there's another approach we can maybe go about making the start to your fitness journey a little easier and less painful?
Yeah. So the first thing I would preface is, if you're feeling pain in an area, open yourself to the possibility that it is weak and not hurt. Because it may feel like it hurts because it's weak. And you may be confused and not work that area out, and then it gets worse, and then you get confused. But you never backpedaled and thought you were wrong in your assessment of this. So know that, obviously with the understanding of potentially someone like a physician that you've consulted about this, if it's something that's from an injury. But if it's from like general things and you just kind of hurt in random places and you're not really sure why, just try to activate that area. Just try to get that area to activate, to squeeze, to stretch it. And then if it makes popping and snapping noises, unless you're pulling your spine out of detent and popping your spine, it's likely just a muscle snapping over another muscle, right? Because it's tight or inflamed or something. Right? So that part, either massage it or do something to kind of mellow it out so it's not super inflamed, which most people should be doing.
Right.
But if you have an injury, then obviously take it easy. Yeah. But in taking it easy, you can explore your limits, and you always have to keep moving. Yeah. Because when you stop moving, you atrophy. So knowing that if you're taking a break, know that it is just a break, because if you don't activate that muscle again, you're going to have worse results than if you were to slightly work it out.
Right. So maybe such as you start going to the gym and then you feel like you've hurt yourself, which I've done a few times, either with just being dumb or for example, the worst injury I had in the gym that took me out for 3 months was I was boxing the bag before starting to do bench press and chest day, which was a terrible idea. Likely because of my form with boxing and the looseness of my arms and not punching properly into the bag, and then I jumped onto the bench press and completely fucked my arm. What I did was and by this point I was benching probably I was just about at 2 plates. It was probably more like 45 and a 25 pounder, but so I threw that on right away without thinking about it because I didn't feel the pain of
you
punching
didn't
the
warm
bag.
up.
Yeah, I didn't warm up, didn't stretch, didn't do anything. It was just dumb. Ended up hurting myself. Instead of getting some 1 or 2 pound dumbbells, because I was like thinking in my head, oh, I don't need to do 2 pound dumbbells. I just didn't do anything. I just waited until I felt better, which was not the answer. And this is where I learned that movement is king. Movement is the way to go when you want to heal.
Yes.
Even if it's with no weight, your arm has weight, right?
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that I'm going to lead into with people that have never worked out and maybe super overweight is you have weight, right? Because you're overweight. You have all that weight in your arm. You could just be doing arm circles, right? And that's a workout.
Yeah.
Like I could pick up my arms right now, and you could pick up your arms right now and start doing arm circles. And after 4 or 5, 6, you'll start to feel the burn just a little bit, or the pops like I'm feeling in this shoulder, which means I need to stretch. But you'll feel the pops and you'll feel that. So really just being able to move your body just a little bit at a time. You don't have to go straight into the gym if you're embarrassed about your size, or if you're embarrassed about how, like, what other people will think of you. First of all, people don't give a shit. They're just there to work out, right? They're not going to think about it in 3 days from now. They're just going to continue on with their life.
Or even moments later.
Even moments later, yeah. They'll walk into the next room and they'll just be focusing on their workout, right? So, but if you're too embarrassed about the way that you look to do that, that's totally okay. Just start at home. Start with not even push-ups. Just start with moving your body. Flexing the muscles that you do have, right? Because everybody has muscles. You have to have muscles, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to walk.
Or
right?
do anything else.
Or do anything else, right? But if you try flexing your core. If you have absolutely no core and you have some work to do on your core, just start trying to figure out how to move that part, even if it's just a little bit, and feel that movement happening in your core, and try to flex your bicep and your tricep and really just try to feel it, even if it's not there at all. You just try and keep doing it over and over again, because from my experience, flexing just in general has been one of the things that has kept me actually toned, right?
Absolutely. And even I've done it before where maybe you feel like a little bit of tension, or if you roll your shoulders back, you feel like and you're popping the tight muscles in your neck that are kind of rolling over top of each other. Just squeezing your back in an open position, kind of in a bodybuilding competition, like they would pose.
Yeah.
Right. Just open your back and shoulder and your arms and just squeeze, and then slowly move the muscle around and as it's activated, it's in its kind of core position where it's not relaxed and kind of flaccid. It's actually tense and it's there. But as you slowly move, you'll actually generate a bit more activation in that area where you're pulling, and those snaps and pops will start to go away.
Interesting.
But yeah, generally, obviously, if it's an injury, it's not going to go away immediately, and you should go slow at this.
Yeah. And when you are overweight, because that's kind of the topic of this right now, you will be more prone to injury, right? That's just the way it is. So you got to be careful, and you got to understand what is an injury and what can cause injury, and not jump into things too fast.
Yeah, form is key.
Absolutely.
And even if you have no weight, just practicing form. Like, let's say I don't even have a dumbbell in my hand and I'm practicing a curl. Just squeezing my muscle doing a curl, depending on how hard I squeeze, it will simulate a poundage of weight.
Yeah, it must.
It has to, right? So that's a good way to not hurt yourself, but still activate a muscle.
Yeah, and it is, and don't get us wrong, for those who actually do work out, this is not a form of resistance.
No.
This is just a form of activation of the muscle and the simulation of a weight to your muscle. Your muscle doesn't understand the difference. Like it does, obviously, when there's actually resistant weight there.
Yeah, because it's pulling
but when
down.
You're starting with nothing, it's definitely better than not moving it at all. Right?
Yeah.
And especially when you have nothing.
Or
Like
don't
when you
know anything.
Or don't know anything.
So you're trying to practice form before you actually
Right.
grab the weight and are scared because you think you don't know how, and
Yeah.
et cetera. And then you figure out how. And
Yeah.
as you figure out how, you just practice in your hands.
Yeah, and you can start doing that with just your hands, or if you feel confident, don't just do a push-up, or try to do a push-up. And if you can't do a push-up, start in the push-up position, lift it up, slowly let yourself down as slow as you can. You might fall to the ground, and that's fine. It's gonna be your brain's gonna be like, fuck, I don't want to do this, and your entire being is gonna be like, I don't want to do this at all. This isn't worth it. It's gonna say everything it can to make you not do it. But if you just, like, you can do these decline push-ups, and until you can do that decline push-up and slowly go all the way down to the ground, then you can probably start to try to push yourself back up at that point, because you're actually still giving the muscle that resistance from your body weight going to the ground.
Yes.
Hence why a lot of people that I know can't actually even go all the way to the ground without falling.
Well, let me explain what a decline push-up is in the way that you were explaining it, if that's the correct term, which is just basically going into like a plank and then slowly kind of going down to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hands flat, arms straight, plank position, toes to ground, or knees to ground if you have to.
Yep.
And then you just slowly let yourself down as slow as you can until your chest hits the ground.
Yeah. And if, let's say that is too easy and you can do a couple push-ups, right? But you're uncomfortable with it. Just like we were saying, just squeeze the muscle, right? And go slower, because that's going to activate and simulate for more weight. Is going slower because more time under tension, right? So you can cheat in a way.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to practice doing a pull-up. Let's say I can't do a whole pull-up, but I can get to like a halfway mark. So I'm going to get to a pull-up as fast, as hard as I can, to a point where I can hold myself, and then slowly go down,
Yeah.
right? Which is going to slowly work and open up those muscles.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I actually had to do to be able to do more than one pull-up.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who played hockey for a long time and, was semi-physically fit and just let himself go. Like, that's pretty much where I was at. Is like, I just let myself go. And the only thing that actually kept me keeping my core was flexing it. Because I'd always flex it. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
It was like always being flexed all the time. And I don't know why. It was probably just me wanting to look better than I really did and not giving into reality.
The social posturing.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I had to do that with pull-ups. I had to do like slow declining pull-ups and just let myself go down all the way until my arms are straight. And then I also had to do that with tricep dips, which, by the way, are the greatest thing ever. I love doing tricep dips.
Yeah, you don't want to go too deep though, because if your like rotator cuff muscles are weak, right?
Yeah.
That's where you want to lean a little bit more forward.
Yeah. So the way I do it is I lean forward and I go to about 95 degrees. I don't go straight to 90, because as soon as I hit 90, my rotator's just like, okay, I'm going to give up now. And then I fall.
Yeah.
So I go to 95, mostly due to injuries in the shoulders from past injuries that have relatively fully healed, but aren't all the way there in specific workouts.
Well,
So
yeah.
you just kind of have to work with what you got.
Well, yeah, like with that, beyond 90 degree though, right? Your muscle actually, some of the muscle groups turn off because you're past a point and it rotates to other muscles.
Yeah.
So if you're too relaxed in that position, you'll hurt them because the body weight is pulling down in a spot that's tender. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I did this with my friend actually the other day. his fiance jumped onto his back and he was gonna just attempt to squat her, and he was like, nope. So I was like, I'm gonna see if I can squat him. And he's about 200 pounds. I don't usually squat 200 pounds, but he jumped on my back, and I started trying to descend all the way down. And I got to the point that I would usually with the squat rack.
Yeah.
And my legs were like, nope, you're not doing that. All of the muscles in my, like the lower part of my legs, the back of my legs just shut right off. And everything was just went limp. The top sides of my legs were totally engaged. Everything else, right?
Yeah.
Everything else I'd use for the squat was engaged. But the back side that I needed to be able to power myself up was gone.
Yeah.
Right? Because I just passed the threshold.
Yeah, and it's also your body's mechanism to save itself because it turns off that muscle fiber at a point where it would injure itself.
Yeah.
So it's like a self-conscious reaction for your autonomic nervous system.
Yeah.
So when and the fact that your quad stayed tight meant it was probably trying to roll you back.
Yeah.
So you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah. So I would have rolled back onto him.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, everybody that thinks that they can't make change and wants to, you can. You just need to understand that you can and just be able to tell yourself, okay, it's time to stop fucking around.
Yeah.
Really.
100%.
It's really just time to stop doing this and look at the people that you're around and tell yourself or ask yourself, is this what I am? Is this really what I am? Is this all that I'm meant to be, is be this? Sitting around eating garbage all the time, hanging out with friends, not doing anything that's going to make me live longer or live healthier or, inspire others to do good things for themselves. Is this all there is? To me, fuck no. This is not all there is, right? You have to make change. That is literally why the human race has gotten to the point that it has, is due to conscious change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's a symptom. I think the change is a symptom of obstacle.
Absolutely.
Right? But think about all of the obstacles that we've been given, right? Like forced upon us without our choice.
Yeah.
Right? All of them. Almost every single one of them. What obstacles do you choose to put in front of you? Right? And I think the things that you choose to put in front of you are the ones that result in or are resulted from discipline.
Yeah.
Right? Because only the person
that's lacking.
Well, yeah, exactly. But only the person who's going to put a challenge in front of them that's voluntary is the person who wants that change. And where's that change? Is it from a why? Right?
Yeah.
Like where is your inspiration to want this thing?
Yeah.
Or what isn't your inspiration to want this thing? Are you lacking some kind of why that's holding you back? And it's like, well, I don't really need it.
Yeah.
If that's your perception, right? Because you don't have a why.
Yeah. Exactly.
You don't have the thing in your head that's beyond who you are now.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So you've got no motive, no obstacle to change. Right. And you being the obstacle. If you're an obstacle to yourself, there's things in you that you need to change.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I think about it. Like, what do I do that's an obstacle to myself?
Right.
And I think like those are the things. It's like, oh my God, I can't even get up these stairs. Oh, okay, that's an obstacle that's within me. That's within me to change. I can't get up these fucking stairs. It's a problem.
Yeah. So, and I think there is a point where people feel like they can't do something. For example, getting upstairs.
Yeah.
Let's say you have a set of 15 steps you have to get up, right? Just to go to your bedroom, and you've hurt yourself. Well, now I need help getting up the stairs. As soon as you've given in to letting somebody else do it for you, you've given in on yourself. You've given up. You've given up on everything that makes you an individual, right? Because, I've hurt my back. Now I can't climb up the stairs. Well, you can find a different way to climb up the stairs, whether that be you have to sit down on every single step and use your legs and your hands to pick you up, elevate you so you can sit on the next step. But you could figure out a way to do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how injured you are, unless you are completely paralyzed. You have, if you are able to move your body, move your legs, move your hands, move your butt, move your anything, you'd be able to figure it out, right? But people don't think that way. They think, oh, pity me and help me, right? And that's what I'm seeing a lot more of, right? In this world that we're living in, it's wild to me that people are not willing to take on difficult tasks and challenges, even if it's something as simple as climbing the stairs when they're hurt or getting up. Like every time I get asked by Vale, do you want help with this going up the stairs when my back is hurt and I can barely move, right? No, I'll figure it out. And she'll usually stand at the bottom to make sure I don't fall. Fair enough. But I'm not going to let her, pick me up and carry me up the stairs or like drag me, right? That's just not happening. No way. I'm a man. I can do that. I can climb some damn steps. It's nothing that, yeah. So people just need to understand that they have a lot more potential within them at any given state in their life. I don't care if you're 5 or if you're 90 or if you're 98, 99, 100 years old. You have way more potential than you realize. You just have to look for it. Be like, okay, let's use our brain, use our imagination. What's a way that we can get around this obstacle? Right?
And the thing is a lot of people feel like their body's failing them. Obviously, age, right? But there's a lot of things that you may convince yourself that it's permanent, which is kind of a mistake. Because and it's also misinterpretation sometimes, where you can feel this pain or this twinge and this, I can't make this movement, but you don't look into how to solve that movement impingement, right?
Yeah.
And just keeping that mobility, like we were saying, helps tremendously. Because if it's a muscle, over time that can get fixed.
Yep.
If it's an absolute muscle tear over a huge group, well, there's stem cells for that. Right? There's a lot of things that you can do that you can really save your state, unless it's a specifically broken bone. And guess what? There's casts for that.
Yep.
Right? If there's a will, there's a way. You can, over time, overcome those issues.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And it may be painful temporarily, but know that it's just temporary.
Yeah. It's like stubbing your toe.
Yeah.
Sucks. You might not want to walk on it for a minute.
And you got to keep going.
But usually people keep walking when they stub their toe.
Yeah.
They don't sit down and go, I can't walk. I stubbed my toe. And they make everybody fucking make them dinner and, feed them and shit like that.
Well, if that's the case,
then
how much energy does your body burn
yeah,
naturally? And how much energy are you burning by moving it?
Yeah.
Add those two, and are you putting in too much fuel?
Yeah.
AKA eating too much food or calories.
Yep. I did the math on how much I just burned by existing, and that's 1,468 calories, give or take. And on the fluctuation of the day with the body weight and how much weight I put on, that'll obviously change. But yeah, if 1,468 something calories burned a day.
Seems low, but I mean, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah.
And if you're eating too much, well, you're just going to add weight.
Totally.
Right?
Absolutely.
Which is going to atrophy your muscles further because you're also not moving.
Interesting.
Right? You're just lingering in a position where you're adding weight to yourself, making it harder to move because you're carrying more weight, but you're also not moving as much, so your muscles become weaker.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, to a degree, right? Obviously, if you're gaining weight, you're gaining strength if you activate those muscles.
Right. Yeah. Interesting. But yeah, it's interesting. The more, and this is why people who are heavier actually burn more.
Totally.
Right? I think I'm supposed to be burning more like 1,600 calories a day.
Yeah, you're probably more.
Right? Probably about closer to that. And last time I checked, it was 1,400, but I was also 180 pounds at that point. Yeah. I'm back up to 200, so probably more like 1,600 now that I'm thinking about it. But that said, people who have higher weight burn more calories.
Yeah.
Just naturally, right? People who are up in the 300s burn like 2,000 calories a day, just existing, right? Now, that is not me saying, oh, you're fine. You can eat up to 2,000 calories and you'll still lose weight. But you could. You could eat 1,800 calories and over the course of a couple of years, you'd lose a couple of pounds.
Totally.
Right? But if you were to add a workout, just a small one, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, that's an extra little bit of calories that you're burning on top of that 2,000 calories, right? And this is why people that go to the gym when they're super overweight, super fat, just drop the weight until they hit like 230 pounds or so. And then they're just like, and then it starts to kick in and it starts to slow down, right? But all of that huge weight that you have just goes away real quickly. Like within months, it'll just be gone.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, there's a a thing that most people don't realize about the way that you actually lose that fat, like the way that it leaves your body. It's through your breath, it's through your exhale, right? Because you're breaking the bond from the carbohydrates, and which is generating all sorts of different ATP and energy in different places and being utilized by your body by the fuel that you're eating, obviously. But as you exhale, you're losing the carbon, turning it into carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Right? And that process is when you're doing cardio, which is why you lose more weight during cardio, right? Because you're breathing heavier, you're taking in more oxygen, you're expelling more oxygen, right? You're accelerating the process at which your body is cleansing itself and generating energy and losing energy. And that influx is then generating this inertia and this momentum that's carrying that fat, and it's increasing your temperature and etc. Right? The whole physiological system is being activated as you increase your heart rate and your breath.
Yeah, and that's why you'll see people huffing after they run for an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Just huffing and huffing and huffing. That's what is burning off all of that. Yeah. So if you even change just your breathing habits.
Absolutely.
Take huge deep breaths in like consistently. 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, out 4 seconds, whatever it is that makes you reach your absolute lung capacity in and out. You will probably find that you'll actually start losing that little extra bit.
Yeah, there's only a little bit in that circumstance because your body does need to maintain homeostasis.
Yeah,
so
but just
unless it's put out of balance,
a little extra bit,
right? But you got to think, what generates the increase in heart rate? It's your in-breath, and it's the intensity at which your body demands oxygen, right? So as you breathe in, your heart rate naturally increases, and as you breathe out, your heart rate naturally decreases. So if you're like primarily focusing on an intense inhale and you're driving your heart rate up, and then you're maintaining your breath and pulling in the maximum of oxygen that you can give yourself, which is kind of like a Wim Hof breathing, where you're feeling all that oxygen and the intensity of your body is being elevated, and then you couple that with a little bit of movement, and now you've dropped out of a little bit of that homeostasis where you're now shifting into more of a workout physiology where your brain is interpreting that state, but then you're providing it with the amount of oxygen that it needs, and you're expelling out enough oxygen for your body to churn the energy systems.
Yep.
Right? Thusly pushing out some of the extra stored energy, which is in your fat, right? Because it's requiring it now to sustain itself, your body.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where even just doing that small shift, if you were just sitting on your couch, there's no way you'd generate that state.
No.
It's not happening.
No, because you're sitting there, you're likely looking at your phone or looking at your TV, and you are, neck is cranked up against the couch, and you're in this really uncomfortable position that literally nobody would enjoy, but you just somehow think it's comfortable. And you're probably mouth breathing, and you're like... like, you don't even realize it, right? Because that's just what you do.
Well, you've just accepted that as you.
Yeah, exactly.
You've never thought of it as...
Without even knowing that you're accepting it.
Exactly.
Right? It's just completely subconscious because you've done it so many times, and this is what's worked for you, and this is what you feel okay with because you are so comfortable with being uncomfortable in the fact that you are, like, well, I guess not comfortable being uncomfortable. You're so comfortable with being unhealthy and overweight and just feeling gross. Yeah. Right? That just becomes the normal state of being, right? But if you shift it to being more comfortable with being uncomfortable and more comfortable with moving towards going to the gym and drinking water instead of Mountain Dew and Doritos and shit and eating all that garbage, right? And eat healthier foods, that is what your body will start to crave. It's just simple little shifts. It doesn't have to be everything at once. Just start with, if you drink 3 Mountain Dews a night, which I know a lot of people who do that, drink 2 Mountain Dews and a water a night, right?
Oh God, please drink more water.
Yeah, drink 2 Mountain Dews and a water, or 2 Mountain Dews and a water instead of 3 Mountain Dews and no water, right? Because water is literally the thing that is keeping you alive. You are literally made of it. You are a walking bag of water.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, right? So you need to give yourself that liquid back that is not garbage liquid.
Yeah.
And just filled with sugar and caffeine and grossness, right?
100%.
So and then, 2 months later, it's okay. Now go down to 1 Mountain Dew and 2 waters, right? And just keep going on that cycle. And then, okay, now I've gotten it down to just water. Now I just drink water. Fuck Mountain Dew. That shit's gross, right? Like every time I think I got a Mountain Dew just to try it out again, like 7 months ago.
Yeah.
And I took a sip and I was like, oh my God, this is so gross. how could I have loved this? I remember back in the day, I would drink a 12-pack
Well, yeah,
in a
like,
night.
as a kid,
No problem.
You don't feel the repercussions.
No.
You just metabolize the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Right? But people are still in the same habits and expecting the same results.
Yeah.
When their physiology has changed because you become what you eat and
Yeah.
your habits of
Well,
physical activity at the same time.
Yeah.
But if you've declined in this way, well, then your body isn't the same. You've generated a different machine.
Exactly.
And over time, your body shifts and regenerates itself and refreshes itself.
Exactly. And that's, but definitely is huge. If you're going to do anything to make yourself healthier, just drink water.
Mm-hmm.
Don't drink chocolate milk and like just crap. Coke. Oh my God. How can, I know people who have watched that video of putting a tooth into a glass of Coke and watching it fucking vanish in front of your eyes because of it just corrodes it down to nothing. And then people still drink Coke. And I'm just like, why? Like, you just watched that, what it does to your teeth.
Because 90% of people don't.
Just drinking it anyways.
Blissful ignorance.
Totally, but they watched it. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't wrap my head around this. And I understand addiction is a really big thing, and it's tough to get over, right? But once you just take the step and maybe listen into that background voice in your head saying, what the fuck are you doing? Because everybody has that. Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody has to have that.
100%.
Like where it's just your body and your brain saying, hey, this isn't working very well. I know you like doing this, but you shouldn't be doing this, right?
Yeah.
And that usually just gets ignored. And I know exactly what that feels like because I was there until I turned like 18. And then it was like, whoa, it's there. It's loud. It's yelling at me, right? So I feel lucky and glad and just happy that I got that when I was 18 instead of when I was in my 30s and like extremely past the point of being able to, fix these habits. But you can still fix the habit. I don't care how old you are. Just start with something small, like changing how much water you drink.
Yeah.
And then because for me and myself, and I'm sure for almost everybody, trying to change every habit of yours at the same time is extremely overwhelming. It's never going to fucking work. Don't do it. Don't even try to do that. Don't try to change it. Like, you can do it. You can decide, I'm just going to change everything about my life right now. Fuck everything in the past. But you have to literally be willing to get rid of everything.
Yeah, that you have to. There's a little threshold, which is the ego death.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to kill yourself.
Yeah.
In that situation, which is what you're doing.
You have to knock over the
which is totally possible.
You have to knock over the Jenga tower, which is you, and rebuild the Jenga tower with new blocks.
Well, you don't have to destroy the whole thing. You can eliminate aspects of yourself at which you decide to. I mean, it depends on how you do it, but decide you don't want it at all, and when you see it, it repels you, in your own behavior.
Yeah.
But the thing is your thoughts are manifested in your actions, so it's a good thing in the way that you start to behave, but it's bad if you lose track of the way that you're acting towards other people and chastising them for doing that action that you now do not like.
Yeah.
Right? And you're trying to change other people for this thing that changed you.
Right.
But that's not, you don't want to change other people in that way because they're not going to. It does not how it works. They have their own thing that they need to change.
Exactly. And you want, like, I wouldn't say if you decide to make a change and you are doing well with the change that you're choosing to make, that you go to your friends and be like, hey, you should all change with me.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Because I bet you they're going to be like, fuck you, dude. Wow, you're all high and mighty. And then you're going to be like, oh, I guess I am all high and mighty. And then you're going to fucking go back to that. Right? That's just not a good idea. Instead, let them watch you change.
Yeah.
Let them see the change happen in front of their eyeballs. Show up less. Show up more to your own stuff. Go to the gym more. Show up there. Go do jujitsu, because that's the thing that I always talk about, and I love jujitsu. But go do these things that you know are good for you and healthy for you, and let them see your physical change happen, even though there's a lot of mental change happening at the same time that they can't physically see. And then maybe they'll be like, huh, maybe I can do that too. And then after maybe months of you doing this, they might reach out and be like, hey man, let's talk. Right? Like, I'd love to see myself change a little bit too. What did you do? How did you do it? Blah, blah, blah. And then you can be like, okay, well, let's talk about it. But be completely open and honest, right? You can be blunt about it. You can be like, dude, I know how shit that stuff is for you, and I just needed to stop eating it because I could feel the negative health benefits, right? But again, you don't just go to them and be like, oh, you're eating all that garbage still when you just started changing your habits a week ago. Because they're going to see that and they're going to be like, this fucking guy.
Yeah, you just don't want to be external with it. You want to keep it internal for the first bit until you can confirm it in yourself, rather than when you start becoming external with you voicing this thing and someone criticizes it, it lessens the strength you have on it in your own head because now you're doubting it.
Yeah. The best thing for you to do is not to say a fucking word to anybody except for the people that you know will just push you to be better, right? If you have that one friend that you see is going to the gym and you maybe a couple weeks ago you saw them and you thought of them as that fucking guy, you know, like you were in the same boat as the friends that I was talking about just a minute ago.
Yeah.
Right? But then you see them and you're like, maybe I want to make that change, right? Well, go talk to that person about it because they're going to be like, fuck yeah, dude. Okay, you're my gym bro now. Let's go. And then we'll work out together and I'm going to help you get ripped and you're going to help me, but don't rely on me because we're not doing that. I'm going because I'm going for me and you're going to go for you and we're just going to go together for ourselves, right?
Occasionally, you're not going to rely upon that person entirely.
Exactly.
And that's your only time you're doing it.
Yeah.
Because then it's a friend activity.
Yeah,
You've made working out a friend activity or something to that degree, a friend activity.
You have set yourself up for failure doing that, right? Because who knows what happens? What if that friend moves in a month to a different part of the world? Just as a big example, right? Now what? You just going to quit everything? You're just going to stop all of the progress you're making?
Likely so.
Likely so, unless you find another friend really fast to do it with you.
Yeah.
Right? Which you might, but it's still not something you want to just rely on, which is somebody else. What you should be relying on is the fact that you know this is good for you in your brain. Your body can feel that this is good for you. You are seeing this change happen. You are feeling this change happen. And that is all you need to drive yourself forward. You know this is going to be good for you in years to come. You know what's not going to be good for you in years to come? Mountain Dew and Doritos.
That shit catches up with you.
Oh, it does.
Right? Because your gut biome, like all of that shit, it's a slow, monotonous shift, but it can also shift fast and be really hard to shift back.
Yep.
Really hard to shift back, which is why people do certain cleanses. And if you don't want to do a cleanse, then, I don't know, try not to put yourself in that position to begin with.
Yeah. Like, do a cleanse and then don't. Like, do a cleanse, realize how much cleanses suck because they are not fun. Like a juice cleanse. I did a juice cleanse once, and I was just like, it was a mess. It was gross. I'm never doing it again, and I never need to do it again because I'm just going to be healthy.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a part of certain carnivore diets, which is why you just kind of purge all of your basically your guts.
Right. Yeah. You're rebuilding your gut biome from scratch. You're getting rid of all the shit.
Yeah.
All of the shit. And I'm not saying you have to give up the shit. If you really fucking like McDonald's, have it once a month.
Yeah, but if you're the type of person who can't just have it once a month, then don't have it at all.
Don't have it at all. But, and with McDonald's as our example, you can make a way better burger than McDonald's that you will fucking love. And when you're in that, like, when you're working out hard and you're just like, oh, dude, I could go for a burger. And you go home.
You smell it
and
on the fucking grill.
Oh, yeah. You, like, call up your partner. Or if you don't have a partner, you can, like, just start making it. Sit in the bathroom for a minute and let it like, really start to smell good. And then open the door. Woo! Like that kind of stuff.
You got to make it exciting. You got to make it more intense and an awesome experience than a counterpart.
Let that anticipation kick in, right? Because you go to McDonald's for that. Done. Got my dopamine. Got my shit food, and I got my consumption needs met. Done. Dealt with. Right? But when you go and make a burger that you can just bite into and it's juicy and it's not like a fucking flat
piece of paper
meat thing that's just disgusting, and they like slap the cheese on there and like they throw a little bit of mustard on it, and it's just like disgusting.
The lettuce hurts me to look at. It hurts me. I look at it, I'm like, what the fuck did you do to my lettuce? It's like
it's
someone
terrible.
Chopped it up, left it in a bag, fucking sprinkled it on my bun, and it looks dilapidated.
Yeah, it looks like
I forgot it was there.
It looks like the rubber lettuce. It looks like the rubber lettuce that you get in kids' cooking packs.
Oh my God!
Like it's just ridiculous.
I hardly go out to have that, but when I do, it's only with someone else. And when I like, I'm gonna get one, and I try it, I'm like, what the fuck did I just eat?
Dude, I do that. I go to McDonald's like once a year now, just to remind myself why I fucking hate McDonald's.
Yeah.
Right? Like I just go there just to do that. But you can easily, like, and it really doesn't take long. People are like, oh, I went to the gym. I don't want to do cooking and stuff right now. I'm just gonna order Subway, or I'm gonna order A&W, whatever. Right? It doesn't take that long. If you get the meat together, you prepare it the day before, right? Prep is a huge part of it. You prep it in, put it in the fridge, get it ready, throw it on the pan when you get home. Takes 15 minutes to cook the burger and put it all together, and it's fucking delicious, and you know what's in it, and it's healthy, and is way better for you than anything you're ever going to get at a fast food chain. You ever go to the back of a fast food? Working in fire safety has taught me so much about restaurants. You go to the back of a McDonald's, it is just a grease trap. I could
Slip and slide.
It is, dude. I could take a flat, like, let's just say for everybody, like a cutting board. I could take a cutting board up to the walls, and I could run it down the wall, and grease buildup would just like form into this big grease ball and run down the wall. It's the grossest shit. It's so gross, right? But you can make that stuff 3 times better at home.
Yeah.
Right? And it's gonna save you money in the end, right? If you're going and buying a full Big Mac meal, that's like $20 now.
Oh, dude,
It's
like that's the amount for all
ridiculous.
of the ground beef for like, I don't know, probably like 10 burgers.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. So you could get all the things you need, pre-make them. You can get a couple things. It takes 15 minutes. You'll feel way better about yourself because you know that you made this. You're like, I made this. This is cool. And then now what? Now, let's say your friends want to come join you in the gym. Well, you want to come over for burgers after? I got some fucking sick burgers. Like, don't eat the burgers every time, but you can invite them over. You can show them your new skill. You know how to make sick burgers. And now, we don't have to go to McDonald's. Fuck that, right? Like, I'd rather just eat good food.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is people's lack of desire for cooking, right? Like, how do you address that? How would you address that?
That's a good question, because really what it comes down to in my brain when I want to eat out,
Yeah.
right? It's just that I've done a lot of shit. I don't have a lot of time, right? I don't feel like I have a lot of time. Like I said a minute ago, just pre-making shit. Getting things ready the day before or the morning before you leave for work. Wake up an extra hour early, right? And just throw it all together, have it ready in the fridge in some Ziplocs, and then get home and you just toss it on the pan. Now you can fuck off and go do something while it cooks for a few minutes, set a timer. 5 minutes later, you come back, flip the thing over, and then you're pretty much ready to go after you've taken, done whatever you need to do. A quick clean of the house, or a quick, if you're playing a game, like you can smell the burger or whatever, and like every couple of minutes just run back to it and check on it. It's really not as hard as people think, but people get it in their brain that cooking is just another task that they have to do, whereas cooking is an art. Cooking is creation. You are literally inventing something and then you are consuming it, and it's delicious, right? Thinking about it from a creative aspect is a lot better than thinking about it as, oh, I have to cook now.
Yeah, and obviously it does not have to be a burger. It could be anything.
Yeah,
right?
We're just using burgers as an example. We like burgers. Burgers are great. But it could be anything. It could be a steak. It could be a salad, right? Salads are so easy to put together. You just chop it up, put it all into one thing, and then you maybe, if you like sauce, put a little sauce on top, and you're done. You can make the whole salad in the morning before you leave for work. Leave it in the fridge. Don't put the sauce on it yet because it'll be all gross when you get home. But then you come home, throw your sauce in, mix it up, and you're done. And you got a fantastic, delicious salad.
Yeah, totally. Like the way that I would give an example for the way that I would approach making a salad is, if you're not a fan of just like fucking lettuce, then don't make just fucking lettuce and eat it, because obviously you don't want to eat it and you'll have a sad experience.
Yeah.
So buy the things that you would be like, this would actually make this lettuce appeasing to me and I would actually eat this.
Yeah.
Whether that's you need to find a nice fancy sauce just so you can eat it, or like a fucking vinaigrette or some kind of thing. Obviously don't go like crazy hard and basically putting mustard, or not mustard, like mayo, which is like Caesar dressing. But find something that you can enjoy, whether that's a little bit of goat cheese or fucking something, right? That you can just have some lettuce and mix it with some kale, or mix it with some other stuff. Put some chicken on it. make it appealing to you where you would buy these ingredients and these items, and when you make it, you put them all together. You have this nice little array, and you can feel and see the satisfaction.
Yeah.
Right? Of actually having that cooking experience.
Everything that you can get at a fast food restaurant, like so let's say you're getting a salad from Subway, you can make that at home.
Yeah, put a little
for half the price.
Buy some avocado.
Yeah, get some avocado. But
hard boil some eggs. Do whatever you need.
This is the thing, especially with salads, because salads are fantastic, and I'm loving that we're talking about salads because oh man, everything that you need for a salad is cheap as fuck.
Yeah.
Right. You can buy all of it on your one shop, and you'll be able to make salads for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks or even a fucking month. Right.
Yep.
Like a couple peppers if you like peppers. If you don't like peppers, that's fine. Right. Avocado.
There's so
onion.
many options.
Like
for a salad.
literally, I would say salads are the absolute most like flexible thing that you can make. If I was to pick any one thing, any one variety of food, it would be a salad.
Yeah.
I actually
So versatile.
Yeah, totally. Like the other day I said meat, but now I totally changed my mind because salads can have meat, right?
Yes, they can.
They can have absolutely anything you want.
My salads look like a mishmash creation.
Yeah.
Because that's my whole meal.
Yeah.
With salad under it.
Those gumbos, I love gumbos. Oh my god, do you remember that gumbo we made a while back? Like, or that I made? I don't know if we made it at your house or not.
I don't
It
know.
was essentially just like potatoes and broccoli and just a mixture of all the things in my fridge.
Yeah.
And then I just mixed it up
With some nice
cooked it
broth.
with some nice broth and some little bit of cheese and some. Oh my god, dude, it was so good. I'm gonna make more tomorrow for dinner. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, like
but
a lot of things are super simple.
totally, and you can just grab whatever the hell's in your fridge or in your cabinets. Like you could just do that and just throw it together, and you have something delicious. As long as it's not total shit.
Yeah, well, that enters the requirement, right? Which is like, okay, what are you buying from the store? Mm-hmm. Are you buying trash? Well, now you have no choice but to eat trash.
Yes.
So buy good shit. Even if you don't want to buy it. So when you look at it in your fridge, you have no choice but to fucking potentially eat it.
Yeah. Well, like if you're super hungry, and the problem is now you have Skip the Dishes and Uber Eats, which allows you to just have food come to your door, which is
Yeah, but
so
you
convenient.
pay an epic premium.
Oh my god. But people don't
Epic.
care.
Double the
For
price.
convenience, people don't give a shit, right?
True.
If
But
you want
that's
to give a shit about
relying
your
on
financial,
laziness.
if you want to give a shit about your financial, if you don't want to be a lazy fuck and you actually want to change your life for the better, you're not going to order Skip the Dishes. You're not going to do that. You're going to eat what's in your fridge. And then you're going to go shopping on every third Sunday. And you're going to do another shop for more things that you're going to eat, right? But if you go to the store and you're like, ooh, those Sour Patch Kids look amazing. Or, ooh, I want that chocolate. Or, ooh, oh, give me that, like, extra large loaf of bread. You know, all that stuff, right? Well, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
You're setting yourself up to feel like shit. And I don't care if you eat bread. I love bread. Fucking, I love bread. Bread is the best.
But with temperance.
Yes, exactly. Right. That's the thing. If you put a thing of bread in my what's it called? Cabinet. No, we'll call it cabinet. If you put a thing of bread in there, it's gone in a week. No problem. I could eat a whole loaf of bread to myself.
Oh yeah.
Easily, and
If
that's why I don't buy it on
slice after slice back after back. Like
bread
I could
and
eat
butter.
That whole fucking loaf,
dude.
in
Bread
one
and
sitting.
butter, dude. Bread and butter.
Feel like shit, but I'd do it.
I do it. Oh,
That's why I don't
100%.
have it.
And I bought bread just the other day for some avocado toast for breakfast, and I'm already seeing the effects of it. Right? Not good.
Yeah.
But if you show yourself some temperance when you're at the store, because you can really look at it and be like, holy shit, like Sour Patch Kids are expensive. And then you eat 6 of them and you're getting fucking 30 grams of sugar per 6.
Yeah,
Like,
try not to go
it's-
when you're hungry.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. If you can look at the things that you buy and you say, no, I'm going to be strict about this.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll buy like one small pack of Smarties or something just to give me that thing that I enjoy, that my mouth pleasure, right? If you do that and you just say, okay, I'm going to buy cucumbers, I'm going to buy this, that, and all good things, and you put those things in your kitchen and you go to look, you're going to be like, okay, this is what I have, right? Just like if you are struggling with addiction to weed, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's the best way to not smoke weed? Not have it in your house.
Not have it.
Right?
Exactly.
So having good things in your house, it's going to make you gravitate towards the good things because you're not going to have any bad shit to go to.
Exactly.
Right? And you can't do that thing that some people do where they like They buy all this good stuff, but then they get a couple shitty things and hide it. It's like, oh, I'm gonna hide it in the top one so I can't see it.
Fucking hide from
You're just
yourself.
you can't hide it from yourself. You're just gonna step up onto a chair and you're gonna fucking grab it and you're gonna eat it, right? Like it's just gonna happen. So you have to really, really know what you want. If you're really wanting to focus on changing your lifestyle and changing the way that you feel and the way that your brain works,
Yeah.
and all of these really, really important things to the longevity of your life, then you will make the move towards getting healthier foods in your kitchen. That is the first thing, and drinking water.
Well, yeah, the better you feel, the better everything feels.
And tastes.
Right? You are the prism at which you experience your reality, your experience, right? And if the vessel, like the body that you're operating, can't operate very well, you're going to have a pretty shitty experience. And if it is getting put in a situation where it's fearful because it can't do certain things, well, then you're also going to have a bad experience when those things appear. You're going to feel weak
Yeah,
and small in
absolutely.
comparison to them, which is only going to make you feel worse when you're trying to go about doing other things,
Yeah.
right? So the way that you feel in your body is so important. But obviously you can't try and fix things that are unchangeable and then get upset because your expectations are off. Because some things you just can't change.
Yeah.
If you don't have an arm, you don't have an arm.
Yep.
Right? But there's ways around it in terms of current bionics and
Yep.
certain other shit. But you can only do with what you got.
Yep.
And you got to make small changes to get to where you want to be, where you feel like you need to be. Who is you? Right?
Is
And
like-
if you have that kind of goal, that path, don't get upset if it's slow. Because you're expecting to be on this path for your whole life.
Yeah.
Because your whole life is about not dying.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're accelerating the process by being passionate for, like just like dopamine, essentially, just like how can I get my hit from my experience? How can I stay happy in my interpretation of what's happening?
Distracted.
Yeah, you're trying to distract yourself. You're trying to, since you feel like shit and your dopamine's below baseline, what is the best, not best, what is the quickest way I can get that sensation and put it over baseline? Whether that's games, whether that's social media, whether that's TV, whether that's getting skipped the dishes, whether that's not moving, because I think preservation of energy is actually going to benefit me in this case. There's so many things that is going to pull you down. But in your body, it's pulling you up. You're buoyant in the way that your body feels in that moment. So when you're trying to keep yourself above this line that your body feels is a good place for it to be, and it immediately slumps down, and you feel like you need to now watch a show or fucking jerk off or something because you need to pull yourself back up. That's just because your body is down there.
Yeah.
So you gotta actually bring your body to the baseline or higher. So when you're normally having your experience, you go down to where your body's at. And if your body's at a good spot, then you're gonna bounce back up. But if your body's at a low spot, it takes way more to bounce back up
Yeah. Absolutely.
because you're not taking care of it.
So you have to essentially you just have to start climbing the stairs, right?
Yeah.
You think of yourself and your body as at the very bottom of this massive staircase that has no end, essentially, right? There is an end, but that end is not being here anymore, right? Now,
Sure.
There's this point at which all the stairs vanish, and that's the time that you die, right? So you can choose whether or not you want to walk up these steps. Most people are just like, I don't want to walk up these steps. And they just sit there at the bottom. It's dark. It's grimy. It's shitty. It feels like, it's cold and not fun because heat rises. And but you just stay there. And that's usually what I find with people that don't have a very good, solid foundational upbringing, right? Because usually by the time you're out of high school, you are climbing these steps. You're at this point where you're like, okay, well, now you're meant to be on that upward spiral already. But most people get out of high school. Oh, I can't say most people, but a lot of people get out of high school and then they walk back down the steps. They're like, well, fuck, I guess I don't really want to go up there. That's hard. I don't want to climb. Climbing up sucks.
And I'm here. I'm fine where I am.
Yeah, so I'm just going to turn these stairs into a slide and slide all the way back down. It's going to be comfy and great and fun, and then I'm going to hit the foam at the bottom. But then you hit the bottom, and it might be cushy for a bit, but then that foam goes away. And that cushiness goes away, and it's just uncomfortable and sucks. But then you get used to it. Your body almost just gets hardened to that way of life.
It's like smelling yourself.
Exactly. So you just need to start climbing those steps one at a time. And that's why I said, don't try to just completely get rid of Mountain Dew. Drink 2 a day and then drink water. And then slowly but surely keep climbing the steps and then make that change. And as you climb those steps, you'll find that longevity will be a factor. You'll get to a certain point where now, okay, I've started working out and exercising and I'm started running and eating healthy foods. Now now the stairs are going to continue. They're going to open up more. There's going to be more steps that I can climb. Holy moly. Like I've passed I passed this point of contrition that I was never able to pass before. Holy moly. Like I've never been here. the most exciting thing that's happened is I passed high school or maybe I didn't pass high school and nothing has been exciting, right? But you just started making the steps. Every day, take steps, right?
Yeah.
And you'll climb higher and higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. And then you won't need all that garbage that you needed back, or that you felt like you needed, that you didn't really need to keep you afloat and to keep that floor from crumbling out from under you.
Yeah. Well, you're also looking for external things to satisfy the internal state, right? Which those are always only temporary measures, right? So if you want a prolonged, let's say, joy rather than happiness, like the resulting effect of a happy, in this case, joyful body and mind, where you're actually enjoying the situation rather than expecting happiness from it. I feel like back to where you pointed out, if you had, let's say, a good upbringing and a foundation, let's say you didn't have a good upbringing and a foundation, I would argue that gives you additional gears when you pass a certain threshold of the staircase, where you realize that you're above your past and you can excel beyond that.
Yeah,
because now you're into discipline and mind, not in talent and body.
Right.
There's a difference.
Absolutely. And I think living a more cushy lifestyle without proper foundational skills from your family, that is what makes it very easy to land in the cushiness at the bottom, right? Where you're not really doing anything. But when you've had a shitty upbringing, those points that you need to reach, the stairs condense.
Yeah, it's harder to get there.
It's harder to get there. They're big steps.
Yeah.
They're really big steps. But each step and each, every time you get to that next platform, it's a lot easier to get there. And then you're you get that realization, okay, holy shit, I can do this, right? And sure, you have to literally jump up onto the step to get to the next spot.
Yeah.
But unlike somebody who had a very, not necessarily great upbringing, but a good, normal upbringing, it's going to be a lot less of a challenge in their eyes because they've already been to that point. And then they've decided to descend.
Yeah.
Whereas these people who started at the bottom didn't even get to go down the slide. Didn't even get to go down to the base.
You only get to see up.
They just, that's it. That's all they get. So they have to. They have no other choice. It's either that or they die.
Or perish. Yeah.
What are you going to choose?
Exactly. Right. And I feel like that taken for grantedness of having things already is a little bit of where you feel like you're already content in that way. But the only problem is those are temporary because you didn't generate that satisfaction, that feeling, that abundance. So when that abundance is taken away from your allowance of whoever's providing this abundance for you, you now have no means of getting this thing. But now in your perception of things, you got this abundance from your external.
Right.
Because you're already satisfied internally because you were in a comfortable position where you didn't have to find your own survival.
Yeah.
Bolster your own mind and your being to withstand what comes at you.
Yeah. Imagine yourself 200 years ago. Think about what you learned in history and put who you are right now in 200 years ago. And tell me if you think you'd fucking survive for a month.
If I was who I am now, but if I was in those circumstances, it would have changed me as a person because it would have been so difficult. I would have had the necessity to overcome.
Exactly. Right? So if you can take yourself, and this is to the people listening, if you can take yourself and put yourself in that scenario and think of what that would have been like growing up like that, and you being that person, well, then you can make the change that required you to be that person now in today's standards and in what kind of technology we have today. You don't have to let yourself just be dull and lame and just sit around and do nothing and talk about your fucking problems with all these people that, don't agree with you on stupid things, right? You can just decide, no, this is not who I am. I'm not going to just let my life be lived by looking for sadness and looking for dopamine and looking for people to be angry at, because that's just not a healthy way to live. But everyone seems to think that that's the way to live because that's just of the cushiness of our society.
I would argue if that's the case, we need to bring technology into this aspect of this conversation.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what people do, which is technology, is external to you. And when you're trying to solve a bunch of external problems, which are just symptoms of whatever inadequacy you have potentially, that you're generating these problems in front of you, or maybe they're just given and you have to overcome them. But this technology is a way that you can source information and potentially solutions to things. But ultimately, if you don't actually understand the solution that you're implementing in the thing that you're doing, even if it solves the problem, you're the one ultimately losing because you've taken away an opportunity to have this obstacle change you.
Yeah.
Right? So even if you are using something, use it with the understanding of trying to understand rather than just using it as a solution so you can forget.
Right.
And I think that's a subtle but very powerful line, that it's the same thing as having the ice cream in your fridge. If it's there, you're going to eat it. Right? It's available to you, and it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
Right? So you've got none of these lines keeping you intact in the journey that you're trying to put yourself on.
Right.
Well, then you're going to go in circles.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that, just like the ice cream, you know what that shit tastes like.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Cookie dough ice cream.
Just imagine.
Oh,
You don't even need to eat it.
fuck that.
You can
No,
be
you just toss it.
salivating in your mouth right now, and that's all you need.
You can taste it. You can taste it with imagination.
Yep.
You don't have to actually get this is one thing that I started doing. I'll buy garbage food that I think I like, right? Like Tim Hortons wraps. I love that shit. Oh,
They got a weird aftertaste.
they do, but the croissant sausage sandwich, oh, dude. I don't know what kind of cocaine they're putting in that shit, but it
I think it's the sugar.
It is the sugar. It definitely is. But what I've started doing is I'll buy it and I'll bite it and then I'll fucking spit it out. Bite it and spit it out. Bite it. Because I'm getting the taste.
Yeah.
Reminding myself what that tastes like. But I don't need to fucking consume it.
Yeah.
Fuck that. I'll just bite it, spit it out, take a bite of an apple or some shit.
Well, yeah, you're programming your mind to interrupt the process of eating this thing.
It's a manual process instead of it being something that I have to let my subconscious figure out.
That's funny.
Fuck that. No, I'm just going to waste my money and waste food and fucking spit it out because it's garbage. Yeah. It's not even real food. It's not good for you. Yeah. Right? And that's one thing that I really got to that I've been really trying to focus on and that I've really got to start applying to more.
I was just about to elaborate on that because that is the same process of activation in your mind for interrupting anything. Right?
Yeah.
So you're just practicing that interruption in a physical format, which most people probably won't take that method. But let's say I'll give it a video game spin on it, right? So I played a fucking ridiculous amount of video games. Sorry, have played a ridiculous amount of video games. Currently, I don't do very much.
We both have.
But I will tell you, when let's say just recently, I played Warframe for I think 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because I had the gut instinct to turn it off after I reached a threshold, like an inflection point in my mind where I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore because it's not really giving me anything.
Yeah.
Because I felt it was an empty action in the way that it was benefiting me.
Right.
Because I just wanted to shoot something and upgrade a gun and then turn it off.
Yeah. Right. Totally.
Right. And it's the same thing.
And I still love games. They're great. I love the creative process behind making video games. It's fucking awesome. It's so cool what people can build, right? But why play them by yourself, first of all? Why play them by yourself? Yeah. There's no point in playing it by yourself. So many people just want to blow their time. And
dude,
And that's all they're doing. It's
100%.
100% just a time sink. If you are putting time
Yeah.
into your friends that you don't get to talk to anymore, you can't go visit, and it's you want to play Battlefield with
Yeah.
your buddies, and there's like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of you. It's a fun time. You're having a great time, and you're communicating, and you're having you're catching up with people. That's great.
Yeah, huge.
Do it. Whatever. Fuck. Have fun. But don't go getting so addicted to video games that you're just like, what do I do? I could go to the gym, or I could sit down and fucking play Red Dead Redemption 2 and shoot a pig.
Yeah. But it also hurts because think of the way, and I'm going to relate this kind of morbidly, where let's say somebody dies.
Mm-hmm.
You no longer have that person's impact or actions that might have encompassed certain amounts of your time.
Right.
So in that time, there's like a gap, there's a void.
Yeah.
Right, where you'd have this habit or instinct to do a thing, and when that thing isn't there, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Right? So the same thing occurs with when you stop doing something.
Yeah.
When you stop doing anything, when you try to cut a habit out, what are you replacing that habit with? So if you just have this gap of time where you just kind of farting around, sitting on your couch, don't know what to do, we have to do something else. Because if you don't, and if you don't plan these things ahead of you trying to cancel this activity, well, then you're going to go right back to the activity that already had the spot available to it that it was allotted in your mind for.
Totally. So with something like games and thinking about it that way, yeah, like imagine yourself, and I like your morbid take on it, right? If somebody like very important to you, like your best friend dies,
Yeah.
you're going to feel that pain, and you're going to feel that like, fuck,
Loss.
I miss them. You're feeling the loss. You're feeling the want to go back.
Yeah.
Right. But you know that you can't, so you must give yourself other things, avenues to think about, other avenues to like maybe other people to go talk to. You know, if you think about that on the perspective or on the games level, it's a lot of fun, copious amounts of dopamine, right? Then you cut all of that out, and now you're trying to give yourself something else to focus on.
Yeah.
Right? If you are the kind of person that can't completely remove something and maybe just play every once in a while, then you, as you said earlier with the food, you probably shouldn't do it
At all.
right?
Because you're going to give yourself that little slack.
Exactly. And or well, I guess just continuing on that point, you should be trying to apply something else that is able to give you that dopamine that you're looking for, but also is beneficial to your life, whether no matter how hard that may be, right?
Yeah.
So something like going to the gym, and you can't be like, should I go to the gym? No, it has to be like, I'm getting up and going to the gym now.
Yeah.
This is what we are doing. This is not something that we are thinking about. No, we're doing this because I know that in the end, doing this thing will be more beneficial to my life than doing this thing. One thing that I like to do is get all the things out of your way through the day, like that you need to get done, that you know must happen. If you're going to the gym that day, you go to the gym. If you're going to jiu-jitsu, for me, you go to jiu-jitsu. If you're going to read a book or 10 pages of a book, that's what I've been doing. I've been reading Think and Grow Rich, 10 pages a day. If you're reading that, you do that. You do all of the things that you have set yourself up for that day, whether you have to make a list so that you can remember, write it all down. You have to make an audio log or whatever. I'm going to do this, and this today, whatever. You make sure all of those things are done.
Reminders, sticky notes, whatever.
And then now you've earned the right to play games. But you know what happens most of the time? And there's still a lot of times I'd love to just jump on and play a game with friends. But most of the time I don't even fucking want to. I've gotten all the shit done that I needed to get done. My dopamine's going fucking crazy. I accomplished things today. And that's really what people want to feel, is accomplishment. And most people feel like, oh, I got the achievement in my World of Warcraft character today. Accomplishment. Let's go.
Yeah, and the reason why there is that emptiness is because whenever you have any experience, there's an emotional cocktail in your body, typically through your mind and just wherever state your body's typically in, and then the way that your brain confirms that expectation and allows it to keep happening in the way that you've kind of concreted that feeling. But you can't lie to yourself and generate a feeling that isn't reciprocatable in your body.
Yeah.
So when you're, let's say, playing a game and having that achievement, you know that there isn't true purpose in this.
Yeah.
And just by knowing that in the back of your head, it disables the purpose kind of emotion cocktail because it's not purposeful. You know it's not purposeful,
Yeah.
but it may be purposeful into your little game. But whenever you log off that game, that purpose gets disconnected because you're no longer in that world. That's not you,
Yeah.
right? But the you is the purpose.
Yeah.
So when you're doing something that benefits you and the thing that you actually need, you know without beyond a doubt that you've accomplished a thing.
Absolutely.
Because you have the physical experience.
And now you are the fucking hero.
Yeah.
You're the one that got the achievement,
Yeah.
right?
And
Instead of it being something that is completely disconnected
Exactly.
from you. The only thing that you can do to can manipulate that is left click, right click, WASD. That's it. Or fucking controller,
Yeah.
right? Like,
But that's the hard part where people, I think, fall into the trap of hopelessness.
yeah, they feel like they can't. They're not able to be the hero.
Well,
They
then
don't-
why is that, right? And I would reckon it would be, I'll give you an example back to games. So think about World of Warcraft or any quest giving some kind of story-based thing where you're put into some guideline, which is effectively every game ever, right? It's giving you prompts. It's telling you what to do, telling you how to do it. It's giving you the tools to do it. You already have everything that you need.
Yeah, it
You
doesn't
don't
even
have
make
to-
you have to get it.
No, it just, well, it's that's what it's doing. It's telling you to fetch.
Yeah,
Right? It's giving you the tools and it's telling you to fetch.
yeah,
But the thing is what in your life is giving you the tools and telling you to fetch? You.
your brain.
You.
Your brain is the quest
Right?
giver.
So if you're not generating those, you're going nowhere.
Yeah,
You have to find and build the tools, which is skills, whatever it must be that you need to do, whatever you need to do. You know what it is. And then the person telling you to fetch. That's your own brain. That's the voice that says, do that thing. And then when the body's like, I don't really want to do it, tell that body voice to shut the fuck up. Be like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
We're going over there because I need to. There's no sitting on this couch. I can't. If I sit on this couch for another day, I'm going to perish in the body that I currently have, with the mindset I currently have, and all the things I currently don't have, because I might be in a sorry state. And if I stay this way, I'm fucked.
I've lost the game.
I've lost the game. So I need to get off my ass and I need to do this thing that I've just now in my brain told myself to do. And when you actually do that thing, you feel elated. You're like, wow, I just broke the cycle. Just in that one moment
Yeah.
that you've made that decision to actually go over there and fold the laundry that's been sitting in the corner for 2 weeks.
Yep.
Right? Just doing that thing, you're like, wow, that wasn't actually that hard.
Take
it took
the
about
fucking
5.5 minutes.
take the dishes out of your room.
Anything.
Doesn't matter.
Right? And then when you slowly work on just the doing aspect of the telling you to do something, you generate power over the other voice that's telling you to not do something.
Yes.
Right? Because just like any habit, you can snowball in and you can snowball out. So when you snowball out of power, which is the voice losing the power and the body losing control or gaining control based on feelings, so you're just following whatever your body wants to do, and your brain loses say,
Yep.
you then lose the potential.
Yeah.
But when you reconvince the mind to entangle with the emotions in the body, you then have some kind of feedback that's eliciting some kind of emotional response that's bolstering your experience, but it's directed by the mind. Because when you have that experience, you're swayed and moved by your experience and the world. But if your mind isn't controlling where you're going, well, then you're just going to follow whatever it gives you the best and most feeling.
Yeah, absolutely, and that makes
Right?
super sense. And that's where most people are.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of people are, and I shouldn't say most people because I do think that the majority of people do want to be better.
100%.
I-
Everyone
and I-
wants
I-
the best for
Everyone
themselves.
wants to be the best that they can be. Some people just don't understand how to do that.
Yeah.
They don't understand the difference between what they're doing being the best that they can be and what their potential truly is.
Yeah.
People just need to understand, okay, I have the ability to have the freedom of choice in life. And we have built this in this society to have freedom of choice. Yet, for some reason, we enslave ourselves to the thoughts and the feelings of our body instead of the thoughts and the feelings that our brains know we must do, the things that we know we must do. right?
It's like a fog. It's like a fog of war.
Exactly. And that's why when you eat garbage food, like the other day, we went ham on some candy. Oh, it was so good. And then the next day, I felt like shit. Felt foggy, brain foggy, emotional, just garbage.
Yeah.
Didn't have the ability to take control of my emotions until I walked away, sat down with my little notebook, and wrote in it, why the fuck am I feeling like shit? And then I wrote whys and whys I shouldn't be.
Yes.
And I just kind of went over to my brain, and I was like, okay, well, I did this, did this, did this, did this, and what, like, kind of wrote more like what I shouldn't be, what I can do to fix it right now.
Yeah.
And then immediately within that 15-minute period of writing, solved all the problems. Everything was fixed. I was back to normal, even though the shit was still in my body and like still processing and all that.
Yeah.
But I was able to take my brain and be like, okay, brain, we're going to overwrite, and just completely remove the feelings that the body wants to give you, right? Because the body is trying to now tell the brain, hey, you feel like shit now. You should stop feeling good. You can now shut down.
Yeah.
You can be an emotional prick. You know, this is your excuse to do everything that you shouldn't be doing, right?
Yeah.
And then the brain just subconsciously is like, okay, sweet. I don't have to work as hard, right?
Exactly.
So it's just kind of that interruption, like we were talking about a minute ago. Interrupt yourself. Get a notebook. Write some shit down if you're feeling like shit.
Yeah.
If you want to be better, you will. Right?
Yeah. And I'll add 2 points, which is kind of more like 2-point ideas. So the first one, I would say, it's just short, which is, like you just mentioned, like your thoughts and the way that affects you. And I'll kind of explain it in short form, which is your thoughts generate your actions, ultimately, right? Whatever you're thinking in your head comes out of your body, because it's just the way that you behave and the way that you interact with what you experience. And then those actions are what generate your behaviors, right? Because they follow suit. The one generates some kind of multitude of the same thing, unless you change that thing.
Thoughts generates actions. Actions
Generate
generates behaviors.
And then those behaviors, which is the routines and the things you're doing, how you're doing it, generate your character.
Right.
Right? Which is the way that you're perceived, and the
And
way
this
that you
is-
act and the way that you interact with things.
Is this the loop? Is this kind of like a loop?
Yeah, and then your character generates your thoughts, because the way that your experience
Right.
reciprocates back with you, it's confirming or disconfirming.
Right.
Where there's either dissonance or consonance, where you're in harmony with your experience, or your experience is very abrasive to you because you and your thoughts are abrasive to your experience.
Yeah, and your character is built up on your, especially when you're young, your baseline.
Here, and that's where my second point comes in, which is, like you just mentioned, the things that you're holding, your emotional state, you have to analyze them, and you have to put them down somewhere.
Yeah, and most people don't analyze.
But here's the path that people get stuck in, which is, let's say you have some kind of emotional reaction to something where it puts you in some kind of mood, right? Anyone can interpret that, right? Like, you've had some kind of thing that you've carried and it's put you in a mood. Let's say it's for like a week.
Yeah, something
Mood.
to work.
And then you solve it because you've analyzed it, this feeling that you're carrying in your body, and you put it down and you allow yourself to continue, right? So that's a mood. It's only been a week and you put it down.
Right.
Right? The next step is when that mood reaches about a month, where it's temperance, where it's kind of like an inflection in the way that you behave because you haven't put it down yet, but at the same time, it's still not past any point of realizing that it's happening in the current time and stopping it,
Right.
because you're realizing you're in like kind of a fog.
Right.
But the thing is, when you don't realize you're in kind of a fog and that lingers, now it's kind of more of like an emotional mix in the way that it's kind of part of your body, where you kind of forgot that it was there, but it has reactions and points where it interjects into your mind, thoughts bubble up, etc. Your
Yeah.
body feels a certain way when you're reacting to something that you don't even realize you're reacting that way.
Yeah.
And beyond that, like a year, 2 years, 3 years, totally possible, where these things now become personality traits. Now, identify the problems that were the cause of this mood, which prolonged this feeling that you've been carrying in your body that had eventually developed into a personality trait. How many of these are you carrying?
Right.
Right? How many things did you decide to be, don't want to say kind of maliciously ignorant about it, but you decided to look away from it.
Yeah. Ignore.
To ignore it.
Yeah.
Right? But every single one of those things that you try to look away from is something that you should have analyzed and put down, so you stop carrying that feeling. But when you turn away from it and it comes back as kind of like a bounce from when you're kind of experiencing something, that's a blockage. That means you're experiencing this thing that you didn't resolve, but when it comes back and that feeling emerges again, you push it back again. You just keep running from this thing. And eventually it starts popping up in places you don't want it to pop up in.
Yeah.
But you just keep running, and you just keep running away, and you keep running away from it, which is the only thing giving it power.
Yeah.
Because you just need to look at it and be like, why the fuck do I keep feeling this way about this thing? And then
Yeah.
boom, just the intent and necessity to summon that memory, it appears. And then now you know why. But if you still run away at this point, it'll stay in the background and it'll keep haunting you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so crazy how you can effectively diminish years of personal created trauma in your own body and in your own brain by just writing this thing down, summarizing it, being like, okay, this is exactly, like, you can make an entire summary of your problem that you are suffering from in 2 lines, 2 sentences, let's just say. And you can have your entire problem fixed. But you just need to be able to sit down, analyze it. Sometimes it might take paragraphs to analyze this actual thing, right? It depends on how deep it goes. But you can sit down, you can tell yourself, why is this bothering me? Why is this something I shouldn't be worrying about? Why is this? Why is that? Ask yourself the questions, the hard questions that you know you don't want to be asking yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And then you write it all out. Take as many days as you need. Don't push it away. Let it fucking come in like a tsunami. Just let it hit you. Let yourself cry, be emotional. Let yourself go through this entire storm. Let yourself be uncomfortable with the way that you're thinking. Let yourself just do it so that you
see truth raw.
Exactly. And then write everything out. Be able to see it physically on a page. Read it over and over again. Understand every little bit about it. If there's anything you need to change, erase some shit, add some shit, whatever. Write it all. Understand it all to its like little, tiny little niche little things.
You don't have to do it immediately either. This could be over weeks
over
of you
the course
analyzing
of weeks,
this thing.
months,
doing walks and thinking and talking.
If you've been going through this issue, this trauma for years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. If you're an alcoholic for whatever reason for 5 years, right? Or
Totally
even
easy.
15 years. People can
Longer.
be alcoholic. Yeah, exactly. Like people are lifetime alcoholics. Some people take as much time as you need. Write it out, but understand that you are doing this for the purpose of being better.
Yeah.
For you, not for anybody else. This is not like, and it may be backed by the fact that you have a wife that you love, or a husband that you love and care about, and that you want to fix yourself for this. But it has to be for you. It can't just be for them.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it just for them, well, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Well, yeah, we go back to the tying exercise to someone else.
Yeah.
And then when they don't do it, you don't do it.
Exactly.
Right? You've made a contingency that was based upon your thought, and you didn't need to make that contingency.
Yeah. Why don't I like going to the gym? Well, because I enjoy doing things with other people, right? That's a very fair thing to say.
Like most people enjoy doing things that they enjoy with other people.
Exactly. They want to have that experience that they can look back on with other people. But let's just pretend for a minute that the people that are around you now aren't going to be in your life for 10 years, which is really usually the case. In 10 years, usually people won't be around.
Yeah. Sometimes much, much less.
Yeah. Right? Before we lost didn't lose them, but like before our friend group kind of all dispersed, we were tight. And then 1 month happened, and then everything was gone, and we barely talk anymore, right? It's just the way of life. That's how it is, and that's totally okay.
And you can't expect everything to work out the way that you want it to work out, because that's just really poor expectations, and you're 100% going to be disappointed with them. So, I mean, it really is based upon how you feel about something, but that feeling is also based on the choice of how you're thinking about feeling about that thing.
Yeah. So you just need to understand what it is that you want. And that's another thing that you should be writing out. Write out your goals, your why, your wants, your like everything about it, that what you are right now
Yeah.
and what you want to be, why you're wanting to be that, why
Yeah.
you don't want to be what you are,
Yeah.
what you want to change, what you don't want to change, what you love about yourself, what you hate about yourself. All of these things, you write all of this out, and I bet you're going to come out a different fucking person.
Sure. And not to give anyone the immediate thought that they need to do all these things all now.
Just like
So the
Mountain
thing
Dew.
is that is the journey. You're always asking these same questions. So you're not looking at these as a result. Like, I'm going to do this and then result appears.
Mm-hmm.
No. Time is, in our perspective of it, is dependent on reality and matter, right? When we're dreaming, we can fly away in the blink of a second. But in reality and matter, you have to move by action. And nothing changes without action, especially if you're not taking action about doing what you want to do. How can you believe confidently that you are doing that thing?
Yeah.
If you're not doing the action to do it, you can think all these things, but if you're not doing the action, well, then you're doing nothing.
Yeah. And
So that is the journey, is taking the small steps and incorporating it slowly into your lifestyle, and slowly think about these things, and eventually maybe answers appear in your
yeah,
head.
go up the stairs. Just start climbing,
Yeah.
right? Take a step, one step a day. That's all you need, right?
Or just even a single focus a day.
yeah,
You have
absolutely.
let's say you have the biggest fucking list known to man of all the shit that you need to fix in your life, and you're completely overwhelmed and you've no idea where to go. What could benefit you right now?
The way,
that one
let's
thing.
just say, let's just say I have the biggest list of things.
Yeah.
The way I would go about it with my newfound way of wanting to live my life is I would take the approach of I get a notebook for everything. I have like 5, 6, 7 notebooks for all different things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
One of them is just my random shit notebook where I write
Yeah.
thoughts, draw, whatever. Like I do all of that. But what I would do if I had a list of 1,000 things is I would open the book, that has 1,000 pages. All right. And I would spend whatever amount of time I need writing 100 of them.
Mm-hmm.
The most important 100 that I need to fix on each page. And I'm going to write them out. Lose weight. This type of physique. Eat healthier.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Learn this, learn that. Do this, do
Mm-hmm.
that. Drop this person in my life. Don't, gain these kinds of people in my life. Whatever. Write them all out on different pages.
Mm-hmm.
This day, I'm focusing on this. And I'm going to write my experiences based around me trying to focus on changing that thing. And within that day, writing these things out, we're going to then take that, and if it needs to be extrapolated on and expanded upon, we're going to put it on a different piece of paper, a bigger piece of paper. And we're going to keep writing this stuff. And it's just going to be focus one thing a day. Pick the next thing the next day, right? And then sooner than later, after 10 days, you're going to see that you've changed potentially 10 things about yourself. And if you ever need to feel like you're losing something, what did I do? Go back. Okay, well, now we're back on lose weight. Well, I was doing this thing properly back then, 10 days ago.
Yeah.
Why am I not doing it now? Okay, let's read. I did this. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's the thought process I was in when I was actually doing the thing that I know I need to be doing.
Yeah. And
Right?
it's just about steps.
Absolutely. And so think of each page as a step to the stairs that you're climbing.
Yeah.
And after you get to that 100th one, now you've hit a platform. Now you've done it. Right? You've done 100 of these things. You've changed 100 things about yourself that you want to change. Just as an example number. It doesn't have to be 100 people. It can be 10, right? Whatever.
5.
5. Fuck. Whatever. It could be 2. There could
Yeah.
be 2 things about yourself that you don't like that you want to change. Right? But you will hit that platform once you get to that point that you want to reach. Right? And then you will see, holy shit, I can do it. I can make change. I know I can make change because I've done all this stuff. And now I have the fucking steps that I've taken. Every stair that I climbed in this book written on paper that I can read physically and not just have to think about and pull out of my fucking ass.
Yeah.
No, it is right there. This is what I did. I did it once. Why can't I do it again?
Yeah.
Right? And then you just continue this. Every time you have something new you want to change. Every time you have something, you can even have a notebook about the things about yourself that you love and that you want to push forward and move.
Continue on.
Right? Or, teach to other people or whatever, right? Just writing, the power of writing things is so immense.
Oh,
And
it is immense.
It is reinforcing your brain.
Which is probably why people don't like writing, is because it's all about when they first started writing was all about shit in school that they didn't give a fuck about, and
Exactly.
nor would they or should they. But at the same time, if it's about you, that's the one thing that you should care about, because that's the only person that can change anything about you is you. And if you have the perception that you are totally fine and you don't need to change anything, well, then think about this concept. Let's say in this timeline, I'm a basketball player and I'm competing against other basketball players. And let's say at this age, I'm 16 and I'm playing with a bunch of 16-year-olds. Okay. And let's say I'm pretty good. Let's say I'm fucking dunking on these kids and I think I'm hot shit. And then my 16-year-old ass goes to a 24-year-old fucking NBA game and tries to play a match, thinking I'm hot shit because the people who I was going against weren't that good, right? So I didn't have a very good playing field to see my potential in. And I had expected and was almost even arrogant about how I was and the way that I am and all of my facets and me thinking I'm high and mighty, because a lot of people in school, etc., have no idea what they're doing, nor would they. Yeah. Right? So why am I comparing myself and evaluating my potential against people who might be really good at something or people who might be trash?
Yeah.
And I'm over evaluating myself.
Mm-hmm.
So where can I make improvements? And if you think you don't have any places to make improvements, I'm sure if you look hard enough, you will find some.
You don't have to.
Or they're glaring.
There's something that people do, and this is just a common thing throughout animals.
Yeah.
Is they compare themselves to that of the thing that is what they would either strive to be and the things that are less than.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's a reason why certain lions will attack other lions that they know are weaker than them, but they won't attack the lion that is bigger and stronger than them, the pride, like the leader, right? The alpha. In life, there's only one thing that you can really apply yourself to, and that is yourself, right? Even if there's people that are better than you, you can emulate what they do. You can look at what they do.
Yeah, modeling.
And model. Yeah, exactly. But if you place yourself on some sort of a hierarchy, you're just setting yourself up for failure. You just need to be able to focus on the fact that, okay, I am making conscious effort to get better. That is all that matters. It doesn't matter if Kobe Bryant's better than me. It doesn't matter if LeBron is better than me. It doesn't matter if Jim Bob over there is worse than me. What matters is the fact that I'm taking the steps required to get better. And I'm going to be the best that I can, so that maybe one day I can match those people that I emulate and aspire to be. I'm not trying to beat them. I'm trying to be the best me that will then be able to
supersede them.
Exactly.
And I think there's a component to that is absolutely necessary to any real growth on any path for any person on anything, which is gratitude. If you're not grateful and you're not keeping track of what you've actually done and like giving yourself a pat on the back for the things that you've accomplished, well, then you're going to feel empty. Even if you've acquired all of the things, if you don't give yourself a pat on the back and recognize the steps that you took to get that thing, well, then it's a fucking empty quest, which is why, back to video games, when you do finish that thing, you get a quest reward. And you feel satisfied, hopefully, based on the reward, which means they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So what is the reward that you're giving yourself for the things that you're doing?
Yeah.
Are you giving yourself a reward? Are
Like
you actually
not.
trying to embrace the experience? Like, fuck yeah, I actually just folded these clothes that have been sitting in the corner of my room for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a year. Who knows the state of your fucking place? But at the same time, when you do that thing, you have to give yourself a reward.
Yep.
Or you're not promoting the habit.
But what kind of a reward do you think would be
That is
suitable?
Entirely up to you. What do you feel is equitable to the action? Let's say it's even detrimental, the reward that I'm giving myself, but this action is better than the negative.
Absolutely.
So I'll give you an example, right? So every habit is based off of a cue or a trigger, some kind of initiating event. Let's say, like whatever, it doesn't even matter. Then routine, right? The thing that's actually happening, the action that's taking place, and then the reward. Those are like the three main components of any habit. So this reward, it's either kind of subconscious or just like a passive action that happens as consequence of you doing whatever routine, which it can be, or it might have to be something that you reward yourself with. Yeah. So let's say in this habit, it's my cue is me being stressed. Therefore, I do a specific action sequence to relieve this stress. Doesn't matter what it is. You can change any of these steps. Either make the stress response go away by removing that thing that's happening. If you can't, well, then you have two other options. You can either change the routine, the thing that you're doing, right? The steps that you're taking, or the reward that you're giving yourself. So let's say you're stressed. So therefore, your action is to take a bong hit, and the reward is to be high and to not feel the pain.
Or the stress.
Or the stress or whatever. It doesn't even matter. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Right? But what is the reward for this thing? Right? So can I change this reward? Can I change my routine? What in this sequence can I modify my behavior with?
Am I skipping steps?
Yeah.
Right? I'm completely okay with people smoking weed. Right? Yeah. I smoke weed. I love weed. It's great. But again, I know the negative effects that weed has on my brain. Right? Which is it turns off my brain. It makes me a lazy fuck. It makes me anxious, but I still love it. Right? So there has to be something, right? You clean your room, you do this, you do the dishes, you do whatever it is that you need to do in the day.
Yeah.
Now you can take your bong rip. Enjoy. Yeah. Fuck yeah. You've earned the bong rip. It's not just something that you should be giving yourself because you can.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like let's say the cue was my house is a complete shit sty and I need to spend 2 hours, which is my routine, cleaning this fucking house because it looks like trash. But my reward is now a bong hit. So what in this thing, like arguably, obviously it doesn't have to be a bong, I'm just using it as an example, is you then you action this thing. You've given yourself some kind of fucking pot of gold at the end of this rainbow.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't ever give yourself a pot of gold at the end of any rainbow, then why are you doing it? You have no idea. Yeah. Therefore, you don't.
No, exactly.
You have no reason, no necessity. If that's somehow your reward or your motivating factor, which it can be, right? If you're not connected to this thing, well, then obviously you have no reason to do it.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
So let yourself know the good things that come from your actions.
And don't let yourself give in halfway through and just take the thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's huge.
Well, you can't lie to yourself.
No.
If you lie to yourself, you lie in action.
Yeah.
And therefore
that means
you probably don't even realize.
You don't even realize. You don't trust your word. You don't.
No one else trusts you either.
No one else trusts you after that, right? If you're telling yourself, I'm going to clean my entire house, make it as spotless as I can, make it exactly how I want it to look.
And you don't stop until it's at the
point
that it is in your mind.
Done, and that you're thinking and imagining it to be. You don't stop until it's done, and then once it's done, you
feel elated.
You feel great,
like
and then you get the thing. And most of the time, as I said earlier, you're going to finish, and you might not even want that thing, especially if it's something like a bong rip or something detrimental, like a video game or whatever. Yeah. You'll usually feel that dopamine that you would have felt at a much higher threshold than you would have if you just went and played games and got that shitty dopamine, right? It's like having a AAA steak versus just like a fucking piece of garbage from Walmart, right? Like it's night and day. So you just have to understand that you can't. And there's going to be a lot of times where you want to just be like, okay, I've done a lot of work, good job today.
Yeah.
But even though I told myself I'm going to finish today, I think I've done a good enough job. I'm going to have that bong rip. Well, now you're giving yourself rewards where you have not earned rewards.
Yes.
It is like using your credit card, maxing it out when you don't make enough money to pay off your credit card maxed out, right? It just doesn't work.
Debt.
You're just fucking yourself.
Except in this case, it's mental debt.
It's mental debt.
Because you know you're not paying it back, which feels worse.
And it's going to be so much harder to pay it back when you make that your normal.
Yeah. Same thing with your house. It's like when you don't clean it, boom, that shit collects, man. Yeah. Like you're accountable.
Rapidly, right? So just make better choices one step at a time, one stair at a time. Climb out of that pit. Get yourself going. Reach that first threshold, whatever it is, to make your life a little bit better. And then you will start to see, holy shit, I can do it.
Yeah. And even let's say you're many platforms above. Keep looking back and know that you've actually made it this far, and then keep going. Mm-hmm. Right? Actually recognize the position that you're in. Wow, I actually have half of these things I didn't realize that I had because I wasn't really paying attention. I just kind of have them,
Yeah.
but I didn't realize that I actually wished for that thing. And I actually wished and I thought about it, and I wanted that thing, and now I have it, and I have that, and I have this, and I have that. I'm actually satisfied with my possessions. I don't have to worry about material things. Like, I'm good.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Even if you do have to worry about material things, still be grateful for the thing that you just worked hard to get.
Totally, absolutely.
Whatever it is.
And this is why, even if you're uncomfortable with writing, just write.
Yeah.
Because now you can document the journey. You're
And
literally
reflect upon it.
And reflect if you feel like you're slipping.
Yeah.
What
Let's say
did
it's
I
even
do?
5 years in the future, and you would have wished, oh my God, 3 years ago, oh my God, I had the best mind. I was doing the greatest things, and then I just slipped off. I don't know what happened. But
Back to
let's
3 years.
record that.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly
And
right.
then you can know what you were thinking and how you were thinking if you're writing your thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Or just writing what you want to do or what you've been doing, right?
Yeah.
Daily journal. People who write daily journals are far more successful than people who don't.
And people think it seems like, oh my God, this is silly. Why am I doing this? I don't like writing.
I can just think whatever. No, it doesn't work like that.
Your brain is specifically activated to manufacture thoughts in a way that you have to specifically intend them to when you're writing, even if
Exactly.
it's passive and that sounds complex. Well, it's happening just subsequent of you thinking about something while writing it.
Think about cavemen, and we do have to wrap this up pretty soon. But
Yeah.
think about cavemen and their drawings. Could you think about it if that was in this way, where they've discovered how to make a spear? All right, they just figured it out how to make a spear.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we have a spear and it's sharp and it can kill things, or it can do this and do that.
Can protect us.
What if all of those drawings that they were writing in the caves was them learning and figuring out and imagining killing a mammoth and what tactics they want to take and this and that, then preparing themselves to do it. And then when they did it and they learned how to do it, now they have a way to look back. That's like their own museums.
Or even just teaching.
Totally.
Right? Like education.
Absolutely. But you have to think about where the starting point is.
Yeah.
There's the imagination. We've made this spear. Okay, well, what can we do with this?
You've mapped the mind.
Oh shit! Now I got this piece of charcoal, and it can fucking make shapes on walls and add to this thing. Oh, I can draw art. Blah blah blah. Okay, well, we need to eat. There's big animals that has a lot of meat on them, and we want to learn how to kill it so we
yum,
can
yum.
eat it. Yum yum, right? Well, what if we do this and go draw this here and make a little human stick person and draw the mammoth up here, and then okay, well now what if we have 5 people with spears? Now we can draw that, and they go this way and they go this way, and now they're envisioning the idea of killing the mammoth to get the food. You can do that with your own book by writing or drawing what it is that you want to see with yourself in your future, and then when you've accomplished it by following this well thought out plan, now you can look back and be like, this is where I started. And I bet you those cave people did it. I bet you they would have looked back and been like, that
Oh
is
my God, I can't believe we forgot about that.
yeah.
5 people with spears and the mammoth. Oh my God, our generation, we moved away and we found this cave again. Oh my God, we haven't been doing that.
Exactly, right? I feel like we are wired for that.
Yeah.
Wired for visual stimulus, right? And wired for art. And that's what we've created ourselves to be. So if you're never writing, never drawing what it is that you want to do with your life,
I feel like that isn't you.
you're just coasting. You're figuring it out. And you're not figuring it out with a plan. You're just doing it and hoping for the best.
Yeah. Don't wait to identify with something to allow it to become you.
Identify
Right? Because the identification comes after. If you're trying to make the precursor to change, feeling like you are that thing so you can walk into that step knowing, well, then you have to have that feeling before you become who you are. Because back in the process, thoughts generate the actions. If you don't think it first, it won't become it.
Yeah,
But that's a perfect way to wrap it up.
absolutely.
So hopefully this has been food for thought and you've enjoyed this conversation. If you've made it this far, thank you. And have a great day.
Bye, everybody.